Namibia are facing into a storm as the All Blacks look for a response to that opening round loss to France. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. New Zealand v Namibia. This one is in the Stade de Toulouse in Toulouse. It's on Friday the 15th of September and kickoff is at 8 p.m. BST. This is world rank number 4 versus world rank 21. So big gap between the two teams. And let's have a look at those teams. So we're going to start with the All Blacks. They've made a lot of changes, but it's still packed with quality. You know, New Zealand, they may not be like all conquering as we've seen them in the past, but they still have unbelievable depth that, you know, that's pretty much unrivaled in the world. So start with the front row. We have Tuinga Fasi, Takiaho and Laulala. So, you know, it's pretty much a second string front row there, but all, you know, quality players who, you know, decent around the park. Maybe in terms of scrummaging, not up to, you know, the same level that you would expect if you had the likes of the Groot and Lomax in there. But Lomax, you know, I don't know when he's actually coming back, but still a quality front row. Talking about quality, Brodie Retallick in the second row returning. He's going to be a big boost to this team and the squad. He came on, you know, against France, and he basically ended up in the matchday squad. I think it was because of Sam Cane's injury, right? So he ended up coming in to the squad for that, and now he's back starting as well. So hopefully he's going to get back to his best pretty quickly. He's partnered by Sam Whitelock, so you know, a very good partnership between those two. And yeah, you could almost call that you know, a first string second row there. Certainly Retallick there, Whitelock, you know, he's played most of the recent tests anyway. Then into the back row, so you got Luke Jacobs from there, who, you know, he's been impressive when I've seen him. I didn't know too much about him really because I don't watch that much Super Rugby, but still, you know, produced some decent performances. Dalton Papali'i, you know, that player, he's you know, a really good player, and I actually thought that he would kind of, you know, go a bit further than he has in an All Black shirt. I thought that maybe, you know, I guess maybe with Kane being the captain and holding on to the 7th shirt, thought last year when Kane was in poor form and people were questioning why he was the captain, thought Papali'i would be maybe the guy that would possibly, you know, push him out of the starting jersey, and then we'd see the captaincy switch to someone else. And the captain for this one is Ardie Savea with Kane missing. So Savea, you know, he's done decent in terms of captaincy. You know, it helps so that, you know, a lot of the time when he's playing, he's the best player on the pitch. That, you know, that really helps in terms of just people following him. He's the kind of player I expect that, you know, people around them, he leads the way and they want to follow. But, you know, Savea, he's so good, you know, and it's, you never really see him have a poor game. Even when the All Blacks themselves are playing badly, he seems to be the one kind of standing against the tide, you know, almost on his own at times. So, you know, expecting him in this back row especially to kind of to be leading the charge there. Into the backs then, so got Cam Roigard at 9. You know, definitely, you know, Aaron Smith is the number 1, but Cam Roigard seems to be the number 2 preferred 9. So can expect to see those two maybe switching in and out. You might see, you know, Roigard back again for the game against Uruguay, and probably, you know, Smith will play against Italy is what I imagine will happen. Damien McKenzie there at 10. So McKenzie, for me, he's not very convincing as a 10 in terms of, like, I wouldn't play him a 10 against France or in a quarterfinal against, Ireland or South Africa or Scotland, whoever it happens to be that they play. And the reason for that is because I think his game management and his kicking from the tee are sketchy. And I think Mwanga has improved both of those parts of his game, to give him the edge over Mackenzie. But what Mackenzie is good at, he's really good at running the back line. He has a running threat himself. He's such an elusive runner, but also he looks to bring other players into the game. And with Barrett there as a second playmaker at fullback as well, I think this is the right 10-15 combination for them to pick to just run up a score. They're just going to score lots of tries in this one. I don't think anybody will be surprised by that. But, Mackenzie, if he should be the kicker, but if he is the kicker, then he's going to miss, a portion, probably a larger portion than maybe Wonga would, of the conversions. Then wingers, we got Lester Afwenganuku. So he's got interesting because he kind of went out of favor, and then he worked his way back into the team. And he's got a chance now to put his hand up there. I still don't think the wing berths, other than Will Jordan, are really nailed down. I've seen what's the guy's name, Newa or something. Oh, I can't remember his name, but the guy that's playing on the wing before, I think, did he play against France? I can't even remember now, but he seems to be the fair player. But I think there still are spots other than Will Jordan, like, up for grabs in the back line. We've got Caleb Clark then on the right wing as well. Caleb Clark's almost the opposite story of Wenganuku, where coming into the Rugby Championship, you would have probably said that it was him and Will Jordan were the two wingers, the two favourite wingers, and he kind of dropped down the pecking order a little bit, and he's got a little bit, to prove. I feel like the guy as a physical specimen just looks, he's got that kind of George North type build to him, where you just think he's going to be able to run through his opposition. He's got the pace as well, and he's got some decent skills, but defense isn't the best. That's definitely work on for him. And sometimes I've seen him where he on breaks he'll overrun the player who's in possession as well, and kind of make the pass out to him a little bit harder than it needs to be. So let's see if he improves on that. In the midfield then, it's second string as well. I'd say got David Havili and Anton Leonard-Brown. Like, Leonard-Brown looked like he was going to be the solution in the centres there to partner Ricky Ioane, but then Barrett came along, and we saw the two of them in the Rugby Championship, and they were just amazing together. So, but he's still there. If they need that option in there, I think he's still give them a decent option as a combination with either of those two. Havili, though, I think he's still got a lot to do to kind of, I wouldn't say prove himself, as it were, but just to elevate himself into that conversation to actually be a starter when everyone is fit. And then a starter when everyone's fit is definitely Buden Barrett. It's just a case of where do you play him. It looks like fullback is his home at the moment, and the guy is really solid in the air. He's got a great kicking game, and he's got that second playmaker. He's got pace to burn, so covering the backfield, anyone who makes a break, even if you got a lead on him, he's probably gonna hunt you down. So you almost know with Barrett at fullback that if you make a break, you've got to have someone in support that you can pop off to an offload out of Barrett's tackle, because it's almost certain that he's going to run you down. Onto the bench, then we got Dane Coles, who looks like recently, at least, he's kind of been preferred over Takiaho as the starting hooker, but there's good competition between those two. And then we got Ethan de Groot, who was great throughout the Rugby Championship. He still needs to, I think, find his feet at this Rugby World Cup, though. So coming off the bench in this one is probably going to be good for him. Then we've got Fletcher Newell there, who's basically, stepping in now with Lomax out at the minute. But, he looks decent as well. New Zealand very rarely have poor players in their Test 23s. Then we got on the bench Scott Barrett. It's probably going to be between him and Whitelock to partner Retallick, I would say, once Retallick is kind of up to fitness. But what a trio to have as your locking players. It's amazing. You've got Vai. So, he's a good player who can just slot into that back row and, just give you a bit of impetus off the bench. You got Aaron Smith there if things are going a bit pear-shaped, and the same with Richie Mwanga. But I'd imagine that, the plan at least is to give Roygaard and McKenzie as much time as possible, and then only bring those two on maybe towards the end to give them a bit of a run out, just to keep a few minutes in their legs. But other than injury, you won't really see them probably until the last 10 minutes or so of the game. And then you got Rico Ioane there as well, kind of as backfield cover. If he comes on, you might see some players switching positions depending on who had to come off. But again, I think he's one where he will come on, but maybe with only about 10 or 15 minutes to go, because if you are Foster, you want to give the players who are starting there as many minutes as you can, just to kind of get them kind of bedded into this World Cup and to become viable options as well for you, when you need them in later games. So then onto the Namibia team. So front row is Benaid, Van Jarlsveld and Kotsia. They did okay in their opening game, but Namibia are always going to be up against it. We got then second row is Retief and Univi. Then back row is Conradi, Gausep, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and Hardwick. Halfback Stevens and Swanepoel. So Swanepoel, I thought, kind of showed flashes in the opening game, like, that he's a pretty decent player. It's just, it's going to be a dream come true, though, I think, to face off against the All Blacks for most of these guys. Then the rest of the back line, then you got Rousseau, Malan, Diesel, Monton, who I thought was, stood out for them as well. And then you got Lobster at full back. On the bench, then we have Van der Westhuizen, Desiderius Sethi. Then it is, sorry, you need to zoom that in a little bit. Shikufa, Van Eel, Boyson, Kachijeko, Theron, and Grayling. So, again, kind of going with, pretty much their at least available best team. And, for these guys, just to play against the All Blacks is going to be a dream for them. And it's a dream that most of us will never, realize in our lives as well. So, even though nobody's given them a chance in this game, still, it's, a great day for them as well, and a great day for Namibia. And again, having these minnows in the World Cup, what it's about is creating that legacy and those players to look up to for the players who one day will represent Namibia and beat the All Blacks. At the moment, you'd say like that's never going to happen, but long before, maybe long after all of we're all gone, maybe it will happen, but maybe we won't be around to see it. But those are the teams. In terms of how I think the game is going to go, obviously New Zealand are going to win. They're going to win well. One thing New Zealand do, even when they're not like maybe the absolute top team, is they always put away the minnows, and they seem to do it in ease that other big nations would love to be able to do. You very rarely see New Zealand struggling against the minnows, even when they do make many changes to their team, and it's just because of that depth. You're going from players who are mostly world class. Maybe in this New Zealand team, not that many who would be genuinely world class, but still, you're going from top players, and then it's only a tiny step down to the next level of players. Whereas I think for other nations, there is a noticeable step down, even for some of the bigger nations and some of the more successful nations as well. For Namibia in this game, I think getting a try against the All Blacks, that's basically their dream. So, and that's what a lot of us as neutrals as well, in the crowd at the stadium and watching on TV, will want to see is Namibia just getting that try. And if they get more than one try, great, because we get to cheer really loudly a couple of times in the game. But we all know New Zealand are going to win it well, and we just hope that Namibia can do themselves, proud in terms of just not kind of putting the heads down and giving up and trying to get that try, whether they do or not.